Welcome to the Sparks Energy Emergency Storm Response Safety Orientation. This briefing outlines the safety expectations, requirements, and procedures that apply to all personnel working on Sparks Energy storm restoration projects. General requirements. Subcontractor supervision and management are expected to follow and enforce all standards, rules, and guidelines established by Sparks. These requirements apply at all times and on all job sites during storm operations. Safety. Safety is a core value at Sparks Energy and a fundamental part of our culture. The ability to perform work safely is critical to our success. Safety always takes precedence over productivity, schedule, or cost. Sparks Energy is committed to maintaining a healthy, injury-free workplace for employees and subcontractors. Only safety-conscious subcontractors who share this commitment are permitted to work on Sparks Energy projects. Unsafe behavior will not be tolerated. All subcontractors must comply with OSHA 19.10.269 requirements at a minimum. Sparks Energy's safety rules and policies are equally important and may be more stringent. Compliance is mandatory. Personnel requirements. Subcontractors are responsible for assigning only qualified and competent personnel to perform work. Qualified supervision must be present on the job site at all times to provide safe work direction and quality oversight. At least 2 individuals, trained and qualified in CPR and first aid, must be present at each job site. First aid and CPR supplies must be available, and their location, along with the nearest medical facility, must be reviewed during job safety briefings. Code of conduct. All personnel are expected to act professionally at all times. Unprofessional, unsafe, or disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. Conversations with customers should be minimal, professional, and free of personal opinion. Direct customers to your bird dog or other power company representative. All media inquiries must be referred to the power company representative. Avoid loud or rowdy behavior and use appropriate language at all times, including on radios and cell phones. Respect public and private property and avoid causing damage whenever possible. Failure to follow these conduct standards will result in immediate corrective action. Fitness for duty. All employees and subcontractors must be fit for duty. Drug and alcohol use is strictly prohibited on all Sparks Energy work sites, including staging areas. Firearms, alcohol, and illegal drugs used for non-medicinal purposes are not allowed under any circumstances. Appearance requirements. All clothing, including hats, must be free of offensive slogans, graphics, or writing. Flame-resistant clothing must be free of rips, tears, or holes. FR shirt sleeves must remain fully extended and buttoned. Shirt tails must be tucked in unless wearing a pullover. Driving safety. All motorized vehicles must display Sparks Energy identification on both sides. Vehicles must be in safe operating condition before being driven on any highway. Any defects must be repaired prior to operation. Cell phone use while driving is prohibited, except when using a hands-free device. Texting while driving is not allowed under any circumstances. All drivers must be properly licensed and trained for the vehicle they are operating. Tailboard discussions are required before traveling between jobs, before leaving home areas for storm work, and before leaving staging areas. Every crew member must know the next job location before vehicles are moved. The person in charge is responsible for sharing this information with the entire crew. Vehicle safety. There are no normal driving conditions during storm work. Slow down, stay alert, and focus solely on driving. Always wear a seatbelt. Adjust mirrors before moving and avoid backing whenever possible. If backing is necessary, go slowly and use a spotter when available. Do not tailgate. Use cones for parking, secure all loads properly, and follow speed limits. Reduce speed in poor weather conditions, and expect the unexpected. Use wheel chocks when required and maintain 3 points of contact when entering or exiting vehicles and equipment. Pre-job briefings. A job briefing must be conducted at the start of each job and whenever conditions change. All crew members must sign the briefing to confirm participation. The briefing must identify the person in charge, job hazards, special precautions, energy source controls, required PPE, work procedures, and emergency response information. The nearest medical facility and location of first aid and CPR supplies must be reviewed and documented. Personal protective equipment. At a minimum, the following PPE is required at all times during storm restoration work: hard hat, safety glasses meeting ANSI requirements, work gloves, reinforced toe boots, reflective vest, flame-resistant clothing where required. Reflective vests are mandatory in staging areas during both day and night operations. When working on poles, structures, cabinets, or vaults with energized conductors, additional PPE is required, including Class 3 rubber gloves and sleeves, long-sleeve FR shirts, fall protection harnesses, and approved climbing devices. Additional PPE may be required depending on job conditions. Qualified observer. A qualified observer is required whenever rubber gloves are used on conductors or equipment above 600 volts. The observer must be positioned on the ground with a clear view of the lineman's hands and be trained and prepared to perform emergency rescue procedures. Grounding procedures. All circuits and equipment must be treated as energized until they are de-energized, tested, and grounded. Approved voltage detectors must be used for testing. Fuzzing or buzzing with tools is not acceptable. Grounds must be installed at the source and at all open points where re-energization could occur. Box grounds must be applied at the job location and properly tagged. Re-energizing procedures. Before any line is re-energized, all grounds must be removed. The person in charge must release clearance. All lockout and tagout devices must be removed. All personnel must be clear of the lines and notified that the line is being energized. A final visual inspection must confirm there are no hazards or grounding sources in contact with the line. Climbing poles and structures. Only trained and qualified employees may climb poles or structures. 100% fall protection is required at all times. Poles must be sounded and inspected below grade before climbing. Pole condition, soil stability, and job location must be discussed during the pre-job briefing. A minimum of 2 qualified crew members must be present during climbing operations. Both must be trained in CPR, first aid, and pole top rescue. Traffic control. All work performed on or near roadways must comply with federal, state, and local traffic control standards. Crews must be equipped with cones, signs, stop-slow paddles, and other required devices. Loading poles and equipment. All poles and equipment must be loaded using approved and rated lifting devices. Pole tongs are not permitted for loading or unloading poles. Exercise caution around pole piles, especially temporary ones. Extreme heat and cold. In hot conditions, stay hydrated and take breaks as needed. Report dizziness or overheating immediately. In cold conditions, dress in layers with FR outerwear. Report numbness or tingling immediately and seek warmth. Incident reporting. All incidents must be reported immediately, regardless of severity. This includes injuries, vehicle accidents, electrical flashes, public incidents, and customer outages. Reports must include the type of incident, location, severity, company involved, and number of personnel affected. Time reporting. Timesheets must be signed by both your coordinator and the Sparks Energy representative. If you are idle for more than 1 hour without assigned work, notify your Sparks representative. Installing and removing poles. Always call before you dig. Mechanized digging without a locate ticket is prohibited. Consult your host utility guide for assistance with underground utilities. State laws vary, so always confirm requirements before digging. Using chainsaws. Gas-powered chainsaws are not allowed in aerial baskets. Battery or hydraulic saws are preferred. Required protective equipment includes eye protection, hearing protection, gloves, boots, and hard hats. Protective leg chaps are required for ground operations. Conclusion. Thank you for your time and attention. Remember, safety is not optional. Every rule exists to protect lives, property, and the public. It is your responsibility to follow these standards at all times, on and off the job, during storm operations.